Hello, Ivana. How are you today?
I'm great, Mark. How are you?
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And the first question I've got to ask you today, because I'm going to ask everybody else that's out there watching and listening, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel?
Absolutely. I think I was your number one subscriber.
Number one. Okay, brilliant. So there you go, everybody else. Get over to our YouTube channel. If you're not watching this on our YouTube channel, then I don't know how you're actually watching it, because that's the only place we're going to be posting it. But yeah, check out our YouTube channel and please subscribe, because you're going to find all of Ivana's amazing series on web design over there on our YouTube channel. So welcome back. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And,
but to answer your question, Mark, you actually have all your episodes on your website.
Yes.
So even though they are embedded, so people can also watch it on your website and obviously listen on the podcast.
That's true. That's true. And I was just thinking of the process that we load them on YouTube first, and then you can view them through the website.
Oh, it's magic.
Your office, I better give everybody a look at this actually. Your office is looking nice and clean and tidy behind you.
I know. How fabulous is that? I've got the best cleaner.
Yeah, you've been tidying up today, have you, before you get on the show?
Every day.
And the second question I need to ask you, because anybody that's been following the series, they'll know that you love your cup of coffee. Have you had a couple of coffees this morning?
I am on to 1.5, so I can almost talk.
Oh,
I bet is this mug.
I better send you a Humanity mug. You need to be drinking out of a real mug.
I do. This is my Hawaiian. This is my happy mug.
Okay. Aloha. Aloha. Everybody watching in from Hawaii today. Actually, I'll tell you a story, Ivana, in about 2 seconds. I used to live in Hawaii. Did you know that?
Oh, that's my happy place.
Well,
really? I didn't know that.
When I say I lived there for 6 months working on a project, and it was a wonderful experience. So aloha to all my friends in Hawaii who I'm sure are watching today. And yes, I'm coming back.
Oh my God, I'll meet you there, because that's my happy place. I get goosebumps just you mentioning the word Hawaii, because we just keep going back. Yeah. Happy.
I'm gonna write a letter to the Prime Minister of Australia after the show today to see whether we can set up a travel bubble between Australia and Hawaii, because that would be good, wouldn't it?
You know what? That would be fabulous, because I think their numbers are looking really good.
Yeah.
And you know what? Not that long ago, a friend of mine sent me, like when we went into lockdown, he sent me a video of somebody walking through Waikiki, and it was dead, and I couldn't believe it. Like, you know, the hustle and bustle, and it was just like, this is like a whole different world. So whereabouts in Hawaii did you live?
I'll bring you back some Kona coffee. Have you tried any coffee from Kona?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not that crazy about that coffee.
You didn't like it?
No,
too dark, too rich, was it?
Yeah, I like it weak and fluffy.
Okay. Just like Italian men.
Oh, I think they're dark.
Yeah, that's the first one I grabbed. I should have said Irish.
But
there you go. I've just lost 500 listeners by saying that, but never mind. Yeah, I was in Waikiki and working on a project there. Fantastic place. But I actually used to go to Hawaii every year for 15 years. I have a affinity with the Ironman triathlon that takes place on the big island of Hawaii out at Kona. And yeah,
So were you actually running the marathons or just watching?
No, I used to go and support people that I used to know that did it. I tried to qualify a couple of times but didn't make it, and I thought, well, instead of me grovelling in my own pity, I'll get over there and support other people that did make it, and it was just as inspirational being there and having all that.
And when was the last time you were there?
The last time I was there was 2008 was the last year I went.
Oh.
So I'm due for another trip, because it's a long time ago. I just worked out how long ago that was. We were there, I think, in 2018.
That was our last trip. And,
okay. That's a good place.
Anyway,
a good place.
Stop, otherwise we're not going to get anything done today.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should keep talking about Hawaii maybe for the whole episode, and we can talk about websites another time. But
and convert this into a travel podcast.
I can't tell you any of the things that I did in Hawaii, though. That's not censored for this show, so I wouldn't have much more to talk about other than to say there's nice beaches and nice people and all the rest of it. Yeah. Okay, websites. Now, we've been doing a fantastic series, so if you haven't already caught up with us, Ivana has been here with us over the last 4 times, and we've been talking about website design, and we've been basically doing a series where it walks you through the whole process of building a world-class website with Ivana Katz. And we're excited now because we've got a big announcement to make today. We're going to be moving to a weekly show. So that means that you're going to be able to catch up a lot faster on the things that we're sharing. And if you are in the process of building a new website or refurbishing your existing website, then you only have to wait 7 days before you get the next pieces of advice from Ivana. Isn't that right, Ivana? So are you going to be right? Have you cleared your schedule for a weekly show with me?
Absolutely. And the good thing is that for people that may have missed an episode or that they're not quite to a certain element, they can always go back and view previous episodes. So I think it's a good thing rather than doing it monthly, because then there's so much information and it becomes overwhelming. So every week we're going to be tackling a topic, and I think if people have questions, maybe we should be publishing what's coming up so that if people have specific questions,
great idea. We will.
Ask.
Yes, we will.
So
we'll do that.
I'll have to think about that. Okay.
So we're gonna ask you to ask us some questions on what you want to know specifically. You might be in a certain phase of building a website and you're stuck and you want to get some good hearty advice, and Ivana's the person that's going to give you that. So reach out to us. You can reach us on social media. All the details are going to be in the show notes today, and Ivana is one of those people that if a question comes out, she's going to more than give you the answer, I can tell you that. So she's very, very thorough with what you're going to get back. So don't be bashful, don't be shy. Send us in all your questions you might have, and it may be not even about the topic we're talking about in the particular episode. It might be something that you're just stuck on, and we can help you out, or Ivana can help you out, so we will do that. Ivana, we've got another exciting thing as well, haven't we? We're going to do a giveaway, is that right? We've got a giveaway.
We are. Yes, we are. What I was going to say, the question, like, no question is off limits. Even if it seems silly or you don't know how to ask it, just ask it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's good. And also, if you're out there and you don't speak English, still send us the questions, because we have translation services in Humaneity that can help you out. So if you want to put your questions into us, we do. So if you have questions in Mandarin, Italian, or any other dialects of Chinese, as well as Czech, because we have a Czech guru on the show. And
I am a Czech chick indeed.
Doubly done. We can get it all fixed. So there you go. If you're sitting there and you'd rather communicate with us in your native language, maybe it's Spanish, then we've got a Spanish speaker in house that we can sort it all out. So there we are. We bring
are
you
the
everything.
United Nations.
United Nations of Humanity. That's what we should call ourselves, isn't it? Oh, another website change, Ivana.
Oh my God. Actually, I really like that, United Nations of Humanity.
I do too. Isn't that good?
Oh no, you talk to Louisa.
Okay, let's get on with the show. So, if you haven't been chatting to us, we're up to a stage today where we've chosen 4 different elements of building a website that we're going to talk to you about, and Ivana's going to tell you about those right now.
And well, actually, so the first thing that I wanted to touch on, Mark, is the things that we have covered so far, so that if people are only just tuning in, they know what we've talked about. So one of our previous episodes, we talked about the 16 steps into creating a website. And another episode, we covered all the things that your web developer or designer will need if you are working with a website designer. So those will be available probably in the links in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I just wanted to mention that. Now, so our format from now on is that we're going to review a website that somebody has submitted, and I'm going to talk about the things that they've done really well and things that they might want to improve on. And today's website is Australian Superfoods.
Okay, let me throw that up for everybody to have a look at.
Yeah.
I also wanted to do a full disclosure today too, Ivana, around the fact that you're not getting paid by any of these entities that we're involved in. Reviewing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we are.
This is just what I saw, what my perception of the website is. So the first thing, what I wanted to say, I actually really like this website. I think they've done an exceptional job, and I think you said that it's just freshly launched.
Yeah, just last week. Yeah, it was just launched last week.
I love the images. I love how easy it is to navigate. I love that it's clean and consistent throughout the website, all the colors, all the fonts. They've got great links to social media. I didn't go to their social media to have a look how often they upgraded, but they do have links, so that's really good. They have contact information, and they also have subscribed to newsletter. Now, I think we talked about this in one of the past episodes. It takes anywhere between 7 to 14 touch points for people to get to know you, like you, and trust you. So if you are driving to traffic to your website and somebody's seeing you for the first time, in most cases, they're not going to book you or buy your product. So it's important to keep in touch with them. And the best way to do that is to offer something in return. And so, for example, I'm not sure, I think they have like maybe 10% in return for their email, which is really great. And then they can start following up with emails. And so hopefully by the time they send out 10 or 11 emails, people will be comfortable with what they're doing and they'll be willing to buy. So those are the really good things. And as I said, these are just speedy reviews. I do offer a website audit, in which I go into a lot more detail. But I just wanted to focus on some positive things and then things that I think that they can probably improve. Mm-hmm. So okay. The first thing that I was looking at is their tagline, or the thing that I see when I first arrive on the website, and it says the native ingredient specialist. So I think it's great that they're telling people what their products and what they actually do. But where I see a problem is that it's not a benefit-driven tagline. So as somebody who's never seen this website, I have no idea what the benefits are of having native ingredients. And so it might be something as simple as saying, improve your health, increase your energy by using our products, or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah.
So that would be the first thing. I think, as I mentioned, they've got the pop-up features 10% off. But the problem is, once you close the pop-up, and most people will close the pop-up before they enter anything because they're not ready to buy and they don't want to leave their email address. Mm-hmm. I would recommend is further down the page, they have subscribed again to our newsletter, but they're not offering the 10% discount. So I would say also offer the 10% discount for that. And the third thing that I wanted to suggest is to include testimonials or product reviews or case studies, because that goes to the credibility of the products and the brand and the company. So if you've got testimonials from customers, please put them on the website. If you can do video testimonials, they're the best. Mm-hmm. But alternatively, if you can get a photo of the person, the testimonial, and as much information as the customer is willing to share. So the state, where they're from, what they do, even if they have a business and they're happy to link to their website. So I think testimonials are crucial, because you can tell people how glorious you are and how you use the greatest ingredients and the latest techniques. Nobody's going to believe that. It's only what other people say that's going to carry a lot more weight. So I think testimonials, product reviews, and case studies. So if your products have to help somebody, go through the process with them. What was their problem? What did they take? And what is the outcome? Because then people can relate to that. So those are my 3 tips for Australian superfoods. Hopefully they'll find that helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, and it's a fantastic company with a great mission to look at working with the Indigenous community here in Australia to use their products and ingredients that have been around for centuries, to make us all living a bit better. Now, I just want to touch on something you talked about there, because some people might think, okay, well, I'm just building a website, I'm a startup, I don't have many customers at the moment, I feel a little bit embarrassed about reaching out and asking for testimonials at this stage. But what you're talking about is an evolutionary thing, like a lot of things with the website, right? Is have these things in mind go out and ask for testimonials as and when you
Yes
feel
and
comfortable
no.
with it?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was actually going to mention. If you don't have any testimonials, give away your product, give away your service, and ask for feedback. And more people are going to be willing to give you testimonial if you've given them something for free or at a heavily discounted rate.
Yeah, right.
So I think you see, like a lot of software companies, they will release software or plugins or things like that, and they give it away to people for free, and then people give them reviews and feedback, and then they start charging, because then all of a sudden, they've got 10,000 reviews and they can charge. So give away, don't be afraid to give away products or services.
Good advice, good advice. Okay, well done, Australian Superfoods, for a new company out there putting out a new website. I think you've got the tick of approval on most of it from Ivana, yeah?
It was fabulous. I love their photos. Everything is very crisp and, very professionally done. Congratulations.
Good stuff. Okay, what are we going on to next?
So now today's topic, we are going to be talking about choosing colors and fonts for your website. So that's one of the fundamental things that you will have to decide when you are creating, whether you're creating your own website or if you're working with a web developer. And generally, I would say start with your logo. So, okay, let's backtrack a little bit. Oftentimes, if you are just starting out in business and you have no idea about colors or anything like that, there are branding agencies that can do this work for you. So they can probably create a logo for you, and they can come up with different colors for your brand. But don't do what one of my clients did some time ago. She came to me with a branding board, and she had primary colors and secondary colors. Now, the primary colors, she had 6 different colors, and each color then had 4 shades. She had a secondary color palette that had an additional 3 colors with 4 different shades. So we were talking about 36 different colors. And it didn't stop there. She then had different elements, like graphic elements that she wanted introduced in her website. And there were 12 of those. And each one of those could have been in the 36 shades of her colors, which would have made it 430-ish something elements on a website. And I was having heart palpitations when I was working on that, because there was no consistency throughout the website. There was pink and green and purple, and it just didn't flow. So for me, when it comes to design, consistency.
Yep, yeah.
And I think there's a quote by Steve Jobs, and he said, and because we are talking about design, he said, design is not just about the look or how something feels, but it's about how it works. So whilst what we are talking about today, it's important, but it's not the critical thing that you need to focus. The content of your website is far more critical. So please do choose your colors, and we'll go through some of the tools that I use when I'm selecting colors for clients. But I just wanted to say, don't spend a week choosing colors, because ultimately people don't analyze it. They just want to know what's in it for them, and whether your button is purple or green, whether it matches your shoes or your handbag, it doesn't really matter. Okay,
yeah.
So
Good
with
point.
that,
I was just going to say that it never matches my handbag. I never have a matching handbag.
We'll do something about that, Mark. No, but it's like I've seen people spend months and months going back and forth. But I think oftentimes what it is, it's the fear of making a decision and making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So just choose a color and go with it, as long as it complements. And I'll share some of the tools that you can have a look, where you can find complementary colors. So you like, for example, turquoise or something, and you might not know what goes with it. So we'll show those.
It's another reminder, though, in this whole journey, because people are, we live in that age where people just want to get things happening as quickly as possible. And you've talked about it so many times already in the series about, picking that Wix website off the shelf and just loading it up and getting your brand out. You think you're getting to market in the right way and the fastest way and all the rest of it, but it can do more damage than it can do good, can't it? And that's why
Absolutely.
we're going through this series and going into the details so you understand all the significant differences of what you need to do to build a website.
And what is important and what is not that important. So from a design perspective, having being consistent in all your colors, so not having 432 elements, but I generally say choose 2 to 3 colors and then stick to them throughout your website, but also on all your social profiles. So when you are choosing colors for your website, you will have to, I guess, go through a few things. And do we have a list of things that we can maybe put up?
We do, indeed.
Okay.
Which one do you want, the color wheel or the color palette?
Oh, okay. No, not that one. Okay, that's all right. We'll come back to that. So what I wanted to talk about are the things that you will need to choose colors for. So the first thing will be the color of your text. And I would say go either black or gray and do it on white background. Don't have color backgrounds except for maybe the occasional block where you might want to highlight something. But when you're reading things on your phone, it's a lot harder to read if it's on dark background and white writing. So it's much better to have white background and either gray or black text, and make sure that you stick with it throughout the whole website. The next color would be color for your headings, and you can have 1 or 2 or maybe 2 different shades of a particular color. The color of your navigation, and this generally because it's close to your logo, I like to match it to one of the colors from your logo just so that it looks consistent and it blends nicely. The color for your footer, so the background of your footer and the font on there. Colors for your banners and blocks, so things that you might want to highlight on the website. And then the next thing is to choose fonts. And one thing that I did want to mention, that fonts don't need to be the same as the fonts of your logo. Right. And this is where people go a little bit, sometimes they get really obsessed with it. Your logo is your logo. And when we're talking about fonts on the internet, what you want to do is you want to have Google fonts that will display well across all types of browsers, all types of media on your laptops, on your mobiles, on your desktops. So what you want to do is use Google-friendly fonts. And I think those are the things that that we can show. So if we can load up the fonts slide.
Okay. And
so the way you get to this, it's simply type in Google Fonts and it will present you with this tool. And you can type anything into it and it will show you how it will show up in different fonts. So I think I typed in the Humaneity, and so that shows you what your headings are going to look like. And I think they even have a tool that will allow you to choose complementary fonts. Now,
that's a great tool, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah,
that's really good.
And when I mentioned, if you're getting somebody to do your branding initially, choosing your colors, choosing your fonts, make sure that they choose Google-friendly fonts, because if you're trying to install fonts that nobody else has access to, it will show up funny and it can cause all sorts of problems. When you are, and again, I keep talking about WordPress websites because I don't know enough about Wix and how they work with their fonts, but with WordPress websites, your website is built on something called a theme, and most themes will come pre-installed with a whole bunch of fonts. So you can either use the theme fonts or you can install the Google Fonts as a plugin, and then it gives you hundreds and hundreds of different fonts. So Mark, if you want to have a little play after we finish today, go and knock yourself out.
You want me to change more things, do you, Ivana?
No. No, but it's a fun thing to do, and if you're creating graphics and stuff like that, as I said, it's just a nice tool to use. So I
have a question. I have a question for you on the font side of it. You just talked about those themes having pre-loaded fonts in them. Have they been scientifically chosen because of Google, or are there any logic behind why those fonts are in those themes?
Yeah, they would be, generally they are generic fonts, so fonts that everybody has installed and they can run. The theme that I use, they've got far more, but they're again the most common fonts that I use, but there's several hundred of them on the theme that I use. So I'm not sure I'm not a developer, so I don't know what their thinking is behind the fonts that they choose, but I imagine it would be easy to read and that it works with other fonts. Within that.
Cool. Okay.
So fonts, as I said, critical. And look, choose one font maybe for all your headings and choose another font for all your text, and just make sure that it's easy to read. You can choose like writing script fonts for your headings, and then just normal things like Verdana. Arial is a little bit outdated, but yeah, so there are some fonts that are more popular than others, and they're generally the ones that are easier. They're a little bit wider and they're easier to read.
Okay.
So that would be my tip in regards to fonts. Now, in terms of choosing colors, again, I would not have more than 2 to 3 colors, because otherwise it ends up being a circus. And the reason I say that is, when people come to your website, they come there because they want to have their problem solved. And I think it's a lot easier to show what it is that you do, the services that you offer, by having phenomenal images. So professional photos, high quality graphics and that sort of thing. And if you've got 10 fonts and 10 different colors on your website, they'll clash with your photos and your images. And that's why I say stick to 2 to 3 colors. Have them in your logo, so choose the colors. If you have a logo already, choose the colors from your logo, and that way there is consistency throughout the website.
Are we going to be talking about photos we are later, right? Images and stuff?
Oh yeah. There's going to be. We've got a whole section, because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that a little bit later, because I think in the next episode we're going to be talking about layouts, and I think I need to talk about layouts before we actually talk about creating images, sourcing images, and that sort of thing. But it's coming. It's not in the too distant future.
Okay, good, because I've got about 300 questions for you around that side of it, so I'll hold those until then.
Well, okay, I'll give you one question. Ask away, because maybe somebody else is wanting to know.
Well, it's the big old question about using stock photography versus using your own photography, right? So a lot of people don't understand what the negative side of using stock photography is about. That's why I brought it up. That's why I brought it up. Yeah.
And it's a very good question. So stock images, first of all, especially if they are free stock images, everybody else is using them. So your website is going to look the same as everybody else. The second thing is Google looks at duplicate content. So if your images, and this is only relatively recent thing, Google used to only find the text and information, but now they can find duplicate images. And there are, in fact, tools where you can reverse lookup to see where an image has come from. So if you are using stock images, and this goes especially for the free ones, your website is just going to be a duplicate of everybody else's, and Google doesn't like that. So that's one thing. It makes your website look like you couldn't be bothered. So having professional or high quality images, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on a professional photographer. Here in Australia, and I've used a photographer from Airtasker several times, and it's a couple of $100, and they get really good results. So you're not having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on photography. Do you know, is Airtasker available worldwide?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so find a photographer and you can set your price and then you'll get somebody. So having professional photos incredibly important, and it'll make you stand out from the competition.
Actually, I'll give you a tip on this one, folks. If you're listening in, I'm a member of a number of different photography groups on Facebook, and a number of people put up opportunities for you to use them for free. To go, they're going out to shoot some wildlife photography today. They'll tell you about it, and if you want to use their photos for your website, they're happy to get their name associated with that. So maybe that's another avenue you can explore, is get onto some Facebook groups on the photography section, and there's lots of nice, generous people out there that want to help you out.
That's awesome. I actually didn't know that you can do that. What I generally say, take your own photos. Everywhere I go, I take photos. Like, you never know when you're going to need a picture of that sandwich, right? So.
or handbag.
Yeah, I could be making a website for a restaurant next week, right? But I'm just saying, just take photos, and we are not expecting perfection, and especially in small businesses, you're not a corporate company in a lot of businesses, and so having real photos gives you so much more credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's crack on.
Okay, so now we're going to look at some tools that I think you're going to flash up on screen for me.
Yeah, which one would you like?
Either one is fine.
Okay.
So you tell me, what have you got up there?
I got the color wheel up there.
Okay, so the color wheel. So let's say you have a favorite color, and I think I chose turquoise because that's one of my favorite colors.
You did.
And you can actually choose complementary colors by simply choosing the color, and then on the website there is a drop down menu and you can choose complementary colors, monochrome colors, so that you get different shades, and that's how you can choose your colors. Again, it's a fantastic tool. It's a Canva product, and it's free for you to use. So, you know, if you want to have a bit of fun with color, go and have a look at that.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the other slide that we have,
color palette. Yep.
The color palette. So there's a website that has color palettes with different images, and then it highlights all the colors that are within that. So if you're not very creative and you want to get a feel for a particular scenario, or even for your website, and say you're a cafe or you're organic, you can search by the images and then take the colors from that. So again, it's a great tool for people just starting out, or if they want to rebrand and do their own branding.
Hey, I like the little cupcakes they've got on this slide.
I can see you drooling.
Oh my goodness, they look good. Okay, I better get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay.
Choose the colors. So the next thing, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to show up two websites that I've created for clients, and they're both coaches and consultants, but they play in very different fields. One is very corporate, and you will see her name is Alex. So if we can bring up Alex's website, and she uses gold and blue in her website, and it's a lot heavier. And we've only just actually finished that website. And then there's one for Sally. And
I'm just having a look at Alex's here. It's fantastic, and the simplicity of it is really the key again, isn't it? And a lot of people go out there and they try and put as much information as they can on their website, Ivana. That's a big mistake, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we're going to discuss in one of the future episodes. We're just lazy. We don't want to read anymore. So just having key points, bullet points. And in fact, Alex already had a website and she had a lot of information and it just didn't flow. So that's one of the things we will discuss in the future about the flow of information and the user experience as people move through your website. So as I said, Alex, most of her clients are corporates. And so we decided to go down with this color palette. Then if you bring up Sally.
Yep, there it is.
Sally is more about energy and healing, and so the colors are a lot more calming. And so we've used black and white photos, and again, both the girls, ladies, they have professional photos, and it makes so much difference.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sally's got a fantastic smile. Almost want to sign up and do business with her just by the smile. Yeah.
I'll let her know. No, and look, they were absolute delight. I love working with clients like that because they actually listen to what I say and then they do what I say.
They're always the best clients, aren't they?
Yeah, and so again, they're kind of in a similar field, but totally different fields for their website. So I just wanted to show the different things.
Yeah, that's great.
So those would be my tips for choosing colors and fonts for your website. If you are working with a designer, you can give them suggestions and then let them do their magic. If you're designing it yourself, then you will have to make the decisions yourself and apply the colors and fonts yourself.
Okay. Ivana, I feel like it's time for a question. Have you got a question there?
Oh, yeah, I do. I actually get asked a lot of questions. And so this is one of the fundamental questions that I get asked. And it's, how do I choose the design for my website? So regardless of whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with a developer, have a look at what your competitors are doing and choose what feels right to you. I believe in following your instinct because you are the one who knows your clients. You know where you want to go with your business. So do what feels right. So you can have a look at your competitors' website and please never copy any of their information, but just get an idea on the elements that they have, the colors that they choose, the headings that they have. Or there are also template websites that you can have a look, and a lot of the, like Wix and Squarespace, they have their own templates, and WordPress they call it themes. But you can just get a general layout, general idea for what might work really well.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I think before, if your company has a logo or preferred colors, use that throughout the website and have the website consistent. And if you're not sure, just talk to a designer. One thing I think we talked about, Mark, before was showing your website to your relatives and to your friends and things like that. And I think that's very dangerous because what happens is when you send out your website or your ideas for a website to 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different opinions. And that's going to be even more confusing. So unless you have a friend or family member who is a designer, don't show them until it's all done, and then let them give you feedback on the user experience rather than the colors, because we all have preferences for different colors.
Yeah.
So don't get yourself worked up just because Aunt Mary doesn't like your color scheme.
I was thinking of those cupcakes again, and maybe Aunt Marion made those cupcakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been watching this show and you've been listening to Ivana talking about the evolution of websites, and you have missed out on the news that Ivana built us a brand new website at Humaneity, get on over and check it out because it's fantastic. But I wanted to ask you, Ivana, in relation to our website, the things that we've talked about today in this show, the colors, the color palettes, the fonts, how did we do? Did we end up with a good mix there?
We ended up with a dark header, and it makes your logo pop. But the rest of it, we've got white background and we've got easy to read writing, which I think is dark grey. So I think we did really well, and we used some great images, and I think because it's just a brand new website, this will evolve and we will be adding more real images rather than the stock images.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the way you said about, and this is something for people to consider, and that's why I wanted you to talk about that in terms of making your logo pop. There's different ways of being able to do that, and in case of, I should actually do it here, right? So there we are.
Yeah.
So you can tell by it being on the black that it just absolutely pops out from there, and that's basically what we've ended up with on our website. Yeah. So
Yeah, and because you already had the logo, so we tried we did a few different layouts that it had. The logo was actually on white background, and it didn't sort of stand out too much. So a lot again will depend on your logo. If it's a very colorful logo, it might not need to go on a dark background. So.
Yeah.
But if it is going to be on something dark, just leave it in the header, nothing else.
Yeah.
Everything else should be white.
Great point. Okay. Now, we've got a couple of things left before we wrap up today's show. The first thing is you're going to give everybody a little bit of homework, aren't you, today?
I will. So today's homework is the things that we talked about, and that is to choose 3 complementary colors using the color wheel from Canva or using the color palette, and then choosing colors from the color palette for your text, your page background, which should be white anyway, for your headings, for your links, for your navigation, for the footer of your website, so that's the block that generally appears on every page, for your logo, so if you haven't designed a logo, you haven't had one designed, choose the colors for that, and for highlight blocks or banners. And all of these should be really, say, 2 to 3 colors and maybe 1 or 2 shades off of those colors.
Okay.
But yeah, please don't go to 36 colors and
400 plus, right?
Yeah. And the other thing was the third part of the homework. So choose 3 complementary colors, then decide what you're going to apply them to. And the third thing was to choose fonts for your headings and for your text.
Okay, cool. Now, we're going to put all the homework notes in the show notes of the show today. So in case you forget about those things that Ivana just mentioned, they're all there. So there's no excuses for not doing your homework. And that's a rule we have on the show, isn't it, Ivana? We have rules. And you've got to stick to the rules. It's not just about
talking. It's about actually doing. If you want to make things happen, start. And that's why we decided to break it into weekly so that it's not so overwhelming. Yep. Something like that, hopefully you're not going to spend too much time on. You should be able to knock it out within an hour.
There you go. Okay, good. Now, the exciting part, or the most exciting part of the show today, we've got a giveaway that we want to share with people. So we're going weekly now, and by you tuning in and watching the show and listening to the show, you're going to be able to participate in our giveaway. What we're doing is Ivana has kindly offered her generosity and graciousness to be able to do a full audit of your website if you're in the process of making a website. So what we want you to do is submit your website URL to us. It's going to be on our website, on the Humaneity website, and I'm going to put all the links in the show notes again today, and we'll be posting this on our Facebook page and our social media as well to direct you to our website to enter. We want to have your URL. We'll check out your website. We'll put you in the draw then to be chosen as the winner of the giveaway, and Ivana's then going to do an audit of your website. And I tell you what, you don't want anybody else in the world doing an audit of your website than Ivana Katz. That's the bottom line. And
sorry to interrupt. The good thing is we will choose every week. We will choose one of the websites, and we will do the quick website review as well. So even if you don't win the grand website review, you may still get a chance to have a few tips.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And as you've seen today, you've seen 3 websites that we've shown you. We've shown you Sally's, we've shown you Alexandra's, and we've also shown you Superfoods Australia. So you've actually had a little bit of a taste of those 3 websites today and what Ivana's done. So Ivana, what are we going to do now? We're going to tell everybody to make sure they subscribe to the Humaneity YouTube channel so they can keep watching you in this series. And also Ivana's website link is below and all her contact details. So if you want to reach out and have a chat to Ivana about your website nightmares, she's the lady that's going to fix them.
I'm the nightmare.
Okay, fantastic. Ivana, have I forgotten anything? Is there anything else we need to tell all the good folks before we head off today?
No, I think we've covered it. I think we've got enough information for today. So let's move on.
Brilliant.
And we'll come back with more information next week.
We will, and we can't guarantee that we won't be in Hawaii doing the next show. So stay tuned, everyone, to find out if that's a fact. Okay, thanks, Ivana, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Mark. See ya.